In today's show, we're going to be taking your existing Power App and adding data connections to other sources so that one Power App has multiple sources. We're going to use an Excel file for one of the data sources and a SharePoint list. We're going to use those connections to feed some drop-downs and pull a bunch of data together and then just write one record back to our master data source. We're also going to throw in a couple bonus tips along the way, so it should be pretty fun. But first, here's our intro. Hi, my name is Shane Young with Bold Zebras. Those guys. In today's show, we're going to look at adding multiple data connections to our existing Power Apps. We're going to play with some drop downs, and I'm going to throw a couple little nuggets and tidbits in there along the way because, let's face it, these are the type of things you want to do. And really, this is all coming from, once again, viewer questions. People are like, hey, I loved your first video, but now how do I augment that? How do I add other stuff? So we're going to take that first video and we're going to build onto it. So let's just switch over to my desktop and take a look. And so over here, what I want to do real quick is I'm going to show you what we're going to build, right? Get you all excited. Then we'll tear it down and then we'll put it all back together. All right. So if we hit play, right, this is the app we built in the other video. There's a link below if you need it. And if we go in and we say a new item, you'll see that now under department, I have a drop down with different choices of what department do I want. And for favorite color, I am also having a drop down. Now these drop downs though are being fed favorite colors coming from a SharePoint list and departments coming from a different Excel workbook. So trying to show that we can pull data sources from lots of places to create this one record, which we're going to write back to our master data. Pretty cool, huh? I thought so. All right. So the other neat thing though, I'll show you one other neat thing. Let's close this. Is if we go in here to an existing person, looks like Bill Gates works for me now. How'd that happen? But it also works for existing users when we're editing those. And it turns out we need a little bit of finagling there, right? To make this work correctly so that it's showing blank values when we do a new form versus filled in values when we're doing an existing form, right? We don't want to mess up the existing data when we show those. And since they share the same screen, we got to do little if statements to do that. All right. So let's dive into it. And so the first thing to do to dive into it is I'm going to tear down what I built here so we can build it together. And I thought this was one of those little bonus tips I was going to sneak in for you is, how do you undo all this? So if you look at this card right now, actually I'll go to, let's see, so we're on edit screen, so we're going to edit form. And so if we go to the edit form one and do properties and then click on vertical, we see all the cards, right? This is normal, but we notice that department and favorite color are different colored. And that's because those are custom cards, right? Those are ones we unlocked to make our changes. But if you scroll to the bottom, the regular department and favorite color are already down here. So to get rid of these custom ones, we're just going to click the little things and say, delete this custom card. Same thing for favorite color, delete this custom card. And so then department and favorite color, we'll put those back in. So right now it's that default experience. And if I drag department up here a little bit, it's right there. So this should be very similar to what you have in, you built in that previous video, right? So that undid that. Close that. The other thing I need to undo so that we can go through it together is if I go to view and then data sources. And so I added the colors, so we will remove it. And I added departments, so we will remove that also. All right, so that gets us back to the same app that you have in front of you if you followed the last video. And I just thought that was a good bonus tip, right? Let's walk through how I undo all these things I do as I kind of move back and forth, practice the video, make the video, practice video, I get a lot of repetition in this. So with that all set up with a nice blank app, what we're going to concentrate on in this one is the edit screen, right? Because we don't need to drop down on our display screen and we don't need to drop down or any of that type of stuff on our view screen, right? Over there, we're just, we're just showing the default data. So we don't need the drop downs there. We only need the drop downs on our edit and new screen, which it turns out in our default app here, edit and new screens are the same thing. So let's get to the edit screen, not the details. There's the edit screen. And the first thing we'll actually do here is let's go ahead and add our data connections. So if we click on data sources, we can see that right now we just have the default one. So we're going to add another data source. And when that comes up, then we're going to choose OneDrive for Business. And so out here, I created a different workbook called Employee Directory 1. It's the same workbook. I just want to show you could use multiple Excel workbooks. I made a copy of it so we could connect to that. So say employee directory 1. Here are the tables, departments or employees. We want the departments table. And so we'll say connect. Okay, so now we have that data available to us, and that's called departments. We'll add another data source. And this other data source, we're going to choose our SharePoint list. So it's going to show me my recent sites. We're going to choose this site. And so here I'm going to choose the colors list. So we'll say connect to that. And just real quick for reference, so you can know, if we go over here to my SharePoint site, you can see this color list. I made a number value in the title. I did color name. I spelled it the fancy Queen's English way, right? I threw an extra U in there because, I don't know, I feel a little saucy. And then I did a color number code. And the only reason I did this was just to show you how to kind of deal with if your Excel or your SharePoint list had multiple columns in it. All right, so this will feed that. And then I guess to be complete, employee directory 1. And so then over here you can see departments and all the things I have. Now you'll notice here that I put a blank line for one of my departments, and that's so that I can show that in the dropdown, right? There's no way to have a blank in the departments dropdown unless you have a blank in your data. So I put that in place to give us that flexibility. So when we do the new form, it's blank there. I didn't do the same thing in the SharePoint list. I should have. I'm a slacker. That's all right. Once you get the concept, you should be good. All right. That's enough setup. So over here, what we're going to do is we're going to click on Edit Form 1, and we will mess with the department first. So right now, right, department is being derived from the existing data source. Well, we don't want that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on that card, and I'm going to click Advanced, and we're going to unlock it so we can change the properties. And then once I unlock it, we're going to take this ugly field that doesn't give us choices, and we're going to delete it. Uh-oh. We got a couple yellow arrows, warnings. We'll fix those in a minute. Let's not sweat those right now. But now what I need to do is click back on my department card. So make sure you've got your department card selected. And then we'll go to Insert and Controls and Drop Down. And then we're going to kind of click on the department card again and make it a little taller. Then we'll click on this guy and kind of drag it over here so it looks nice. And nice being relative, right? We all know that I make ugly stuff. I tell you guys to make pretty stuff, but I make ugly stuff because here we're learning mechanics. All right, and so then for the dropdown, you can see by default the items is dropdown sample. Well, that's not what we wanted. We want to use departments, right? Don't use department. Department is from the other one. Departments is that data connection we just created. So we'll click on departments. All right, and so that would fill in the list there just nicely. If we hit play, the drop down, there you go. That was literally it. That's all it takes to get that in there. Now we're going to do some cleanup work. We're going to make this better, but the core of it, right? That was how easy it was to connect that simple little list. Okay, so departments is good. Now we got a couple warnings, so let's check those out first. And so this first warning is, you can see the red squiggly line. So what it's saying is this little control is built off of the data card. Well, that's no good. And it looks like the height's all wrong. Well, that's because we deleted the data card value 19. So what we need to do is we're just going to change this to be drop down, and this is drop down 5. So drop down 5 height. And then we'll do the same thing here. Drop down 5 again. And boom, that warning goes away, right? And all that's really doing is this little tiny control here. It's this little spacer. It's not even necessary. I probably should have just deleted it. But I wanted to show you why there's an error message, explain it, so that's what I did. So then here, this one's a little more important. This isn't a difficult one. So this is saying, hey, the update value for this card, right? We see update written right here, is broken. That we need to fix for sure. So what we're going to do is we're going to change this to dropdown5.selected.value. And so what that's going to do now is when we run our update form command, right, which is what happens when you click this little button right here, right, it submits our form. So when the form gets submitted, it's going to take the value from our dropdown and push it into the department's record in the other list. So that was an important fix. But just like that, we have taken care of our problem. Almost. The last thing we need to look at, though, is the default value. So right now, the default value for this guy is what? Default, it's a number 1. Well, that's not our list, so it's not going to show it. So it's kind of confused. And if we don't fix this, what's going to happen is we come in here and we edited this user's record and hit save. It's going to set his value to something we don't want. In reality, we want to keep the value that he's got. But, right, that's real easy to do. But the problem becomes is what if we're in the new mode, right? Because we know we use the same form for both edit transactions and new transactions. So we need to insert an if into this default to make it all work. And so what we're going to do is we're going to say if, and we're going to spell, oh, I hate when I press the wrong button. See, the mouse gets in the wrong spot. It just messes me up. All right, so if, and then we're going to say edit form 1 dot display mode equals form mode dot edit, right? So if edit form 1 is in display mode edit, then we need to do one thing, right? And in that case, what we're going to do, we'll do a comma. So what do we do if that's true? We're going to set this value to be parent.default, right? Because if you looked at the control, I probably should have shown you before we deleted it, but that's what the control was set to before we messed with it. So we'll set it to parent.default. But if it's a new form, we don't want it to make up some weird value for parent or take any chances. So we're going to say if it's a new form, we're going to set it to just a blank space. And so then let's see, we'll say we're getting a warning. What's it mad about? All right, oh, you know what it's mad about? Because I said display mode. I did not mean to say display mode. I meant to say mode, like that. Sorry about that. As a boo-boo on my part. Nice thing was PowerApps warned us, gave us a little blue squiggly. We were able to fix it. So now if we hit play, all right, so it looks like the drop-down is showing Bill is in the maintenance department. If we go back over here, let's see. I know that nope. I know Nicole is in the executive. So let's click on her. So department's executive, hit edit. It's showing executive just like it should. Cool, cool. Now what about if we hit new? If we go in here, new department right now is blank. That's exactly what we wanted. So we've gotten our ability to change it. And then let's go in and let's see. So Luke is currently in the executive department. Let's demote him. So we'll say edit this item. We can hit the drop down and we'll put Luke back into finance where he was before I started messing around this morning. We'll say submit this item. And there you go. Luke is in our finance department. Yay! We're writing data back and forth. What's also hilarious though, is I've already recorded the whole next second half, but I went really bad and I screwed it up. So I just used that cut to start over. So I've deleted everything since then and we're going to re-record it together now. So you don't get to see the screw ups today. Haha. All right. So let's go back over to our edit data screen and let's close out this. And so then down here at the bottom, now that we've got the department all working, let's go and make favorite color blue. Let's make that field read from our SharePoint list. And so our SharePoint list, right, in case I haven't shown it to you here, is a bunch of colors. I can also see that I've put duplicates in here because I'm a bozo. Let's undelete. Let's get rid of the duplicates. Get rid of those two. We'll delete those. And you can also notice, so I've got normal colors, red, blue, green, blah, blah, blah. And then also here I have an underscore. And so we're going to use that as our blank row, right? I couldn't figure out a way to make SharePoint have a blank item that PowerApps approved of. So I'm going to use just an underscore as my color name for the field we want to use. That was the big screw up that you didn't have to watch me suffer through. All right. So over here, what are we going to do first? We're going to take our card. So we're on the edit screen, right? We're going to click on edit form 1. We're going to click on properties and we're going to click on our friend layout. And we're going to say, all right, favorite color. We want to edit you. So we'll hit advanced and then we'll do the unlock again. As soon as we unlock it, we will notice, all right, the default values, parent default. So that's that thing we talked about earlier. So we'll delete that. Easy enough. Let's make sure we're still in our favorite color data card here. And we'll do an insert and we will insert a control and we will do a drop down again. All right, there's our drop down. Oh, we'll click on the control to make it bigger as a whole. Maybe, maybe not. Like so, there you go. And then we'll do this, we'll put this down here. Okay, so we got our green, yellow triangles we got to fix again, but before we get to those, let's fix our SharePoint, or our drop down. So from items now, This time we're going to use colors. Same as before, make sure you do the colors because that's what our data connection was. And we'll do colors. And now you can see right away that it put in 1, 2, 3, 5, right down here. So it's using the wrong column. No problem. How we're going to handle that is instead of saying use colors, we're going to tell it we want to use color name with the fancy U in the middle. And after we do that, go down here, hit preview. There's nothing here, right? So this is, let's not call it a bug. Let's call this PowerApps being grumpy. Okay. So close out of that. And if you just go back to the items again and basically undo it and then do it again, like so, we should have seen little drops go by. There you go. So now it's red. So for whatever reason, when you do it on the fly, PowerApps doesn't understand it. So if you just do it again, same exact thing, it works, right? So if we hit play now, there's our drop downs. Okay. You'll also notice though that, oh, did you notice that? I probably went too fast. So we still have all of our duplicate, right? We have the 2 reds, the 2 blues. And why is that? That's because I changed the SharePoint list, but I didn't tell PowerApps I changed it. So make sure you go to View, and then Data Sources, and then Color, and then do a refresh. Doop, doop, doop. After a few seconds, it'll finish the refresh. And so then now if we close out of here and do a preview, we just see the 1 red and the 1 blue. So once again, that's one of those things, it causes a lot of frustration. Like, why isn't it showing my data? Because you didn't tell it to refresh. That's why it's not showing your data. It's usually a reason. All right, so we're good there. Now, a couple things we want to fix about this. One of them, I meant to fix the other one, I didn't. But so items right now is colors and color name, but I can't stand that the colors aren't in alphabetical order. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell it that, hey, we want to sort by columns. And we're going to sort colors, color name by the color name column. Oh, this is going to make me so much happier. We'll hit play. And so then now we see those in alphabetical order. Woo, and our little dash is the top guy. So fix that problem. What other problem do we need to fix? Another problem we need to fix is our default value again, right? So let's fix that. So default currently is that. That is not a thing. So we're going to say if. We're going to say, what is this? It's edit form 1 again. So we could have copied the other one. Would have been probably faster for us. But edit mode 1 mode equals form mode dot edit. So if the form's in edit mode, then we want to set this value to what? We want to set it to parent dot default again. If it's not, so that means it's a new mode, then we're going to set it to the underscore, just like before. That looks pretty good. Let's fix these 2 guys real quick, and then we'll go test it. So this is now what? Drop down 7. Oh, so you can tell that I've been through some pain and suffering because drop down 6 is gone. Or we got skipped because I had to delete it. I broke it. So drop down 7 there. All right, so that fixes that. And then remember, the most important one for you to fix is this guy. And so we're going to change this to drop down 7 dot selected dot value. Oh, that's looking pretty good. Let's hit preview and check it out. Okay, so looks like this is looking good, but let's kind of back all the way out and just make sure everything's doing what we want. So Bill's favorite color is currently green, so we'll click on Bill. That says green too, that's good. Hit the drop down, there's green, awesome. Let's change it back to our friend gold. Let's hit the check mark. All right, looks like Bill's got gold as a favorite color, so that is working, check. Let's back out of here. Let's do new. And favorite department is blank, we can choose one, all right. And favorite color is just like we wanted, perfect. So we've gotten all the things in place. So awesome. All right, ready for your bonus tip? Let's throw this bonus tip in here. So the bonus tip, what we're going to do, I'm typing in Shane here, right? When I hit tab, it jumps me to phone. That is not data entry 101. I do not want to get tabbed into random places before we submit our data. So let's X out of here. And what you're going to find out is that with each one of these pieces, there is a tab index. And so his tab index is currently 0. So let's make him 1. Boom, that's your tab index. Go set your tab index to 2, like so. Oh, your tab index is going to be, let me find it, 3. All right, and we'll stop there. We won't keep going. But now if we go back to our form, so I type in Shane and I hit tab, and then it's Young, and then Shane.Young at bold zebras, right? So that gives us the ability to control tabs. And so you'd want to finish out the page. 0 essentially means, I don't know, it's not in the tab order. So if that's all that's left, just kind of randomly jump around. So we don't want that right now. It's just kind of jumping to wherever it wants to go. But tab index is one of those great little features, right, that makes your app just a hair bit usable, especially in scenarios, maybe not mobile phone entry scenarios, but in desktop app scenarios. So thought I would throw that bonus tip in there because it's one of those things that makes my life a lot easier. And I think with all that, I guess maybe we should finish filling this out just to show you that, dude, that would be my title, favorite color, purple. So we'll say check. And then we should now see a Shane Young with a favorite color of purple. Scroll, scroll, scroll. So there's the old one. There's a new incomplete one. So our data is being written back and forth. Multiple data sources being pulled in. We're writing it all back to the default data source. It's kind of what I promised to show you. So I hope you enjoy it. As always, leave me comments below, ideas, questions you have, because that's what triggers these videos. This video came from someone else's comment. So hit me up with what you got. All right. Thanks and have a great day. Hey, it's me again. Just a reminder, if you don't mind, click the old subscribe button over here. That always helps me out. Or if you want to work together, you can always hit me up through the bold zebras. Or if really what you want is some more of these Power App videos, which is probably what you want, then the playlist is somewhere on the screen here. All right, thanks. Have a great day.